What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my Miniverse. I thought I'd do something a little different today. I got a question from one of my viewers, from one of you guys, that about how my 3D printer works. So I thought I'd just break it down and go into it. I'm no expert on it or anything, but I figured I'd just explain to you how I understand how it works. And if you want to know more than just the very basics, which is really all that I know, then I'm sure there's 1,000 videos out there. So I'm going to go ahead and start breaking it down. There's really two different kinds of printers, of 3D printers. Two main kinds. There's a bunch more, but two main kinds of printers. There's the extrusion printer, and then there's the resin printer. My printer's a resin printer. Extrusion printers are a little more common. They just have a little head that melts basically a tube of plastic, and it piles it out on the little plate and piles it up into the whatever your 3D design is. Kind of like how you'd pile up whipped cream out of a can on top of your pie. That's kind of the way those work. But it's not the one I have. I have a resin printer. Works much differently. Now, you can still use a lot of the same 3D models and stuff. The resin is generally a little easier to get better resolution on. And the magic of the resin printer really comes from the solutions, the resin itself, it comes in liquid, and it reacts with UV light. And when the UV light hits it, it becomes solid. And so that's the magic behind how the resin printer works. So I'm going to focus in a little bit and then talk about the actual printer and how it utilizes this to make things like this. So let's get on into it. Alright, so this is my Anycubic Photon printer. It's not the Photon S. There's a Photon S, which is a little fancier. This is basically one of the bottom line printers that's reliable. And it's pretty small. I think it's like 8 by 8 by 16, I think, are the dimensions, or something like that. Anyway, it opens up in the front here, and basically the way it works, the magic it works is there's a screen down here on the bottom, and it's basically just a cell phone screen. It's like 3.5 by 2 3/4 or something like that, maybe 4.5. I don't know. But anyway, it's basically a cell phone screen, and it emits UV light though, instead of like visible light like your cell phone does. So that's what emits the UV light into the resin that hardens the resin. So, and it emits the light that it emits comes from the software, from the slicer, which is where the slicer is the computer software that takes the 3D model and it cuts it down into super thin 3D slices, and it stacks them all up. So what happens is you take this is it's called the vat or the tub or whatever. I've heard it called a lot of things, but it's got a clear bottom on it, and it slides in here like that, right? And then it clamps down, and you put your resin in there, the liquid resin in there, so that screen on the bottom shines that UV light on the bottom of that resin in whatever shapes you have on there based on those real thin slices. And the way you actually pull a mini out of it, this is the base or the bed or the platform. There's a whole bunch of different names for it. And it slides on the Z-axis here. And it slides down all the way down into the resin. It's all controlled, very, very minutely controlled. And it slides down in there until there's, just that first thin slice. And then that UV light comes on, cures that resin to the bottom. And then it moves up, and then it cures the next layer, that next thin slice. And then it cures the next thin slice until it all comes out. And it actually prints upside down, which is kind of cool, because it starts at the bottom where your base is, and then it prints up to the topmost. And I'll show you one of the minis that I have that I haven't pulled the sports off of. There we go. This is a Vrock that I printed off, and you have to use those supports because you're not actually curing the resin all the way when you do this. You just cure it a little bit, and then you have to sit it in the sun or hit it with a UV flashlight or a little UV box or something. So it's kind of fragile. So you have to use these supports to keep it up, and anything that sticks down, like this arm, as it prints those thin layers, anything that sticks down, it's not connected to anything, so you have to support the pieces that aren't connected. Anyway, it's a little technically complicated, but when you pull it out, it comes out like this, which is I thought was pretty cool actually. And then you can take it off and clean it up and set it in the sun, or take your supports off. Most people take these supports off before they do the final cure, but this one I knew I wasn't going to get to for a while, so I didn't want it to sit up here half cured, so I went ahead and cured it. But anyway, that's see if I can get in here. Wow. That's pretty much the way that the 3D printer works. If you guys have any more questions or anything, let me know, and I'll do what I can to answer them, or point you in a direction to someone who knows a whole lot more than I do, because I know basically just enough to get prints like this off about 80% of the time. I get about 20% failures still, and I've only been doing it for 5 months now, give or take. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to do this quick little answer questions video. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, and like more stuff on the 3D modeling, check out the Tabletop Dungeoneers Discord server. There's a guy on there, Quinian. He's got a lot of he's got a few 3D modeling videos where he shows you how to 3D model, or how he 3D models. He's got a YouTube channel too, Quinians Budget Crafts. You can go check him out. I'll leave both those links down in the description. Anyway, if you got any questions or anything, go ahead and hit me up, and I'll do my best to answer them. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.